I'm here.
Oh, there it is.
Alright, everybody, hello, welcome to today's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026, and I call this meeting of the Nutley County Student Senate General Assembly order. Thank you very much, and at this time, I want to say welcome to our General Assembly meeting of the Manatee College Student Senate. This is a public meeting and will be recorded for transparency and direct conversations. We're going to cover a few basic items before beginning. If you lose connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking on the link or calling the number in your original email. To the senators and other members online, please activate your video and keep it on for the duration of the meeting. If it is possible, use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak, ask questions, or request a roll call and vote as chair. And as to call on committee members in the order in which hands are raised, lower your hands once you have the cue. And at this time, could I get a roll call?
Yes, you can. President Jose Villarreal,
I'm here present.
thank you. Vice President Administration Finance Quinn Matson, I'm present. Vice President Legislative Affairs Ash Rogers,
Present.
thank you. Vice President Team Development Corey Sirksel,
Present.
thank you. And Vice President Public Relations Ari Nichols,
Present.
thank you. Advisor Cole Calio Prado,
Present.
thank you. Do I have Senator Sanjay Jagadish,
Present.
thank you. Senator Ashley Larson,
Present.
thank you. Senator Keziah Owolabi,
Present.
thanks, Keziah. Senator Bhavani Nagaraj,
Present.
thank you. Senator Ashley Juarez,
Present.
Senator Ali Mohammed,
Present.
Senator Ida Wilmo,
Present.
thank you, Ida. Senator Sierra Brunner,
Present.
thank you, Sierra. Do I have Reedsburg Senator Furkan Sindar?
Present.
Thank you. And Goodman South Senator Annette Crowder.
She's there.
She's
Yep,
there.
she's hydrating for the record, and I think she is,
Hang on.
trying to communicate. Yep, she's present.
Can you guys hear me
Yeah, I
now?
heard something. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, Annette.
Present.
All right,
Okay, thanks.
thank you very much. Now that we've met quorum, I'll read the minutes for approval. April 9th, meeting, we had a pretty lengthy, we can have that on the screen, advisor. We had approval of previous meeting minutes, reading of approval of the agenda. We did have public comment. Dr. Jeffrey Burns, she was able to come and give us some updates on college graduation, and congratulations to the ones that are graduating. We had a Master College update as far as the TAP program goes. We did have a team building activity. We went into reports from officers, advisors, and standing committees. We also had reports from select and special committees. And we did get reports from our branch campuses of Goodman South and Reedsburg. We did get an academic council report. There was no unfinished business, there was no new business, and there was some housekeeping. With the minutes been read out, I would entertain a motion to approve minutes. The motion made by Senator Juarez, seconded by Vice President Sirksel. Open up for discussion in person or online. All right, hearing none, seeing none, I'm going to take a vote in unanimous consent to approve minutes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Passed. The minutes were passed. Thank you very much, folks. We will now move into getting into today's agenda, and I will read it out for you. Today's agenda is business only meeting. We have a straight into public comments, and we have an order in which the requests were made, and we have disclosures, recusals. We will have reports from officers, advisors, and standing committees. We will have no unfinished business, some new business, and we will have announcements. We will try to get out here in time. So with that being read out, I'd entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Motion made by Vice President Rogers, seconded by Vice President Surtzel. Open it up now for any discussion in person or online. All right, hearing none, seeing none, I'm going to take a vote in unanimous consent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This agenda has been passed, and we will go right into public comment. And,
Yes, am I up?
Yep, you are.
Okay. Nicole, you have the PowerPoint, so you'll drive from that end.
Yep.
And I just want to let you know that we do have other people who are joining us online. Jessica Chochi should be coming on. She's the Dean for Human and Protective Services.
I'm
And then
here.
Annette Crowder. Oh, thank you, Jess. Okay, because I can't see you, so thank
I
you.
just popped in.
And then, thank you. Did you see my team's message? You did. You gave me a
No.
thumbs up. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Oh, then
And
yes.
then Annette Crowder, who is now a student senator, was a student senator at the time that we did this work, is also on and available to answer questions with us as well. Okay, so with that, then we can go ahead and get started if you would. Oh, okay, so it's over there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I got it. All right. So we are here today to present to you on the Children on Campus policy. Our goal with this, creating this policy, to developing this policy, was to provide clarity and direction to both students and employees on how we would handle children on campus. Next slide. So just a little bit of background on how we got to this point. The Wisconsin Innovation Grant it was a state grant that was awarded to regions of the state to address workforce needs. And this came about in 2021. So this is right after the pandemic. We're starting to come out of it. We're seeing all the needs across our districts. And we applied. And part of the work that came out of that grant was we really wanted to focus on building the early education educator professional pipeline. So if you remember, maybe you weren't affected, but for those who were, we had classrooms, preschools, we had childcare centers closing left and right because we just could not keep them staffed. We did not have we had the spots, but not enough staff to open up those spots. So it became a real issue. A lot of women left the workforce during that time because they cared for their families. They needed to be able to care for their families so their partner could work. And so we just were really seeing this disparate impact on families. So part of the work with this grant was to address that early childhood education professional pipeline by expanding access to our programming through mainly scholarships and additional programming. We did offer the basic early educator technical diploma out in Fort Atkinson. We're in the eastern region at that point. We did not have capacity. I'm sorry. Did I say something?
It was Watertown, not Fort Atkinson. We're still doing it.
Watertown. Thank you. Oh, Jess, that just freaked me out. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So you're over here and the thing is over in the front, so I gotta balance you two. Okay. And then we also wanted to expand student parent access to childcare. We ended up partnering with some agencies, namely the Y, to provide drop-in care and additional care for our students. And then we really wanted to start offering childcare services at Goodman South Campus by the building of a childcare center at Goodman South. So among other outcomes, this work and other work that we did, the WIG grant allowed us to participate. It provided funding for us to participate in Generation Hope's Family U program, which is a capacity building program to identify and then enhance supports for student parents. Next slide. Jess, do you want to take this one?
I would be happy to. So as a part of that Family U participation, it was a cohort-based 2-year commitment. So it was Madison College along with, I think, about 6 other colleges across the country. Most of them were also 2-year associate degree programs or community colleges. We had representation from Madison College. So I was on the team, Tina was on the team, Sylvia from administration was on the team. We had representation from financial aid and finance, from childcare. Am I forgetting anybody? Who else? And from institutional research effectiveness. So had a nice diverse team come together. And as a part of this process, we really focused on 4 different areas. We looked at data, how we collect data on our student parents, and then how do we use that to support them. Policies that we had around supporting student parents, how the people who make up the college provided support and understanding to student parents, and then what the culture was. So what kinds of evidence did we have on our campus that showed that we were family friendly? Things like our lactation rooms, changing stations in all the restrooms, the study pods that we have, some of those things that we put into place. So we created a work plan that focused on each of those 4 competencies, where we assessed where we were at the beginning, set some goals and activities that we worked on for those 2 years, and then reassessed at the end. And as a part of that work, we were recognized as an institution with the first ever Family Use Seal for the progress we made. So we're really, really proud of that work. And it was really eye-opening to us in terms of understanding the strengths of our student parents and also the challenges that they face navigating through an institution when they're also caring for children.
Next
You can go to
slide.
the next slide.
So here are some of those outcomes in each of those buckets that Jess referred to. So you can just read through there. But the one that we're going to focus on today, largely because it's taken us the longest to get done, and that's policy. As you all know from the Student Senate body, that making policy is one of the messiest, most difficult things to do. And so our goal with policy, of course, is to remove barriers for our student parents. Those are some of the outcomes that we had. And the most important one that, well, not most important, but the one that's taken the longest is the one that's listed last, that children on campus policy. And that's what we're here to share with you today. You want to do the next one, Jess?
Sure.
Next slide.
Next slide.
So the goal of this policy is to remove barriers and provide a framework for faculty and staff to help make decisions about when it is appropriate to allow non-student children in the classroom or workspace. So we know that the college defines children as under the 18, and that we have some students on campus who are in high school, might be dual enrolled. So those students are clearly here to be in the classroom or in the workspace. This policy does not apply to them. This is really about those non-student children who are here on campus during operating hours. So one of the things that we did as a part of the work to support our student parents was we did some focus groups. And these focus groups really told us a lot about the needs and interests and experiences of our student parents. And the theme that came through very clearly was that there was a lot of confusion about whether or not they were allowed to bring their children on campus, whether or not they were allowed to bring their children into the classroom. So one of the student parents who we interviewed during the focus groups said, I didn't even know I could bring my kids in. And then another one reported being told, you can't bring your kids can't be on campus. So it was clear to us from both those focus groups and honestly from some of the other national data that this has been a real challenge for student parents. There's just been a lack of transparency and clarity about the rules around children being on campus. So our goal here is to really develop a single, clear, and consistent children on campus policy that is easily understood by all of our college stakeholders, our students, our faculty, our staff, and the community.
Next slide. So as I indicated to you, this is one of the some of the work that just took the longest, and it's because we really needed to be, because of the stakeholders and the level of liability, risk management, if I can say that, plan. He's here with us today. We just really needed to be as careful and as thoughtful as we possibly could with developing this policy. So we established a work team. We consulted stakeholders. We surveyed the college, the faculty, the staff, the students. So, and this, I'll share a little bit more with you, but so we make sure that we got student voice that way. And then we drafted the policy. Next slide. And so this is who the cross-college work team was that worked on this. And the people who are highlighted in yellow who came from Student Senate. We were at that point, Student Senate had been working on student parents. You'd taken up a policy, some recommendations up to the Capitol when you all went to go visit for that semester. And I can't remember what year it was, and that can probably tell me because she helped to develop that flyer that you all presented to the legislators, but we had really great Student Senate representation, so real partners at the table in doing this work. And then we also consulted, if you see at the bottom there, the provost, CEDL is the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. Those are the people who support the faculty. Our Human Resources Department, our Disabilities Resource Services, we consulted with our climate and our Culture and Climate Department, our Risk Management. And then, of course, because we participated in that Family U team and that capacity building program, we also really leveraged and researched the literature, best practices. We had an opportunity to visit different universities and colleges across the country as part of that work. So we were just able to get as broad of a picture of into the work as possible. Next slide. I'm going to talk about this one, Jess, and then you can take it from there.
You go ahead.
So that survey that we deployed, we got over 1,700 responses. And this was across all 4 groups, the students, the faculty, staff, and the managers. And what became really clear to us, as it was during the focus groups, was that all of these stakeholders, they wanted to support students and they wanted to support their colleagues. Managers wanted to support their employees. And for students, nearly 1,000 of those 700 were students. And of those that took the survey, 1/3 of them took care of school-age children or younger. So those are your classmates. These are your peers. 72% had indicated that childcare was important to their success at college. And a majority of the students supported their classmates bringing their children to the classroom in cases of no childcare, which 81% of them said, or if their child happened to be off school. And again, that just mirrored through all the other different stakeholder groups. And that support was really high. It became very clear to us that people wanted their colleagues, their classmates, their employees to be successful. And this was a really important component of that success. Next slide. It's huge.
Okay, thanks. And I'm sorry, I don't know if Student Senate was sent a copy of the policy to review in advance, or if this is the first time you're seeing this language.
This is the first time they're seeing it.
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of time to read through it, and I can read along, but this is the policy as stated right now. And I don't think I'll read it to you, but I think I want to summarize that our interest here was really making it clear that Madison College is a welcoming campus and that we are a family-friendly institution. Children are welcome to be on campus when they are under the supervision of a parent or caregiver. There are parameters that we need to set regarding those spaces that those children can be in, particularly classroom spaces and workspaces. So recognizing that while students and employees can bring their children to class or to work in rare circumstances with the approval of the instructor or manager, there need to be some parameters around when that is going to be appropriate and when it is not. We don't want children in welding classes. We don't want children in the cafeteria with their parents while they're serving meals. So really needing to be thoughtful about when and how often this is appropriate, which is what this policy was striving to articulate. So the message again is that while children are certainly welcome on campus, parents and caregivers are expected to have childcare arrangements for times when they are attending classes or working. If these childcare arrangements unexpectedly do not work out, instructors for the students and managers for the staff are encouraged to provide the flexibility to either accommodate a parent caregiver's rare need to bring their child into the learning or working environment, or allow the parent or caregiver to be absent from class or work and make up missed work, assignments, or assessments. And I'll give you a little time to read through it while I'm not talking as well. And then when I'll let you read the room when it's time, we can go to the next slide.
Yeah. And Cole has a copy of this PowerPoint, so he can share that out to y'all if you, well, it'll be part of the record, I'm assuming, right? So it'll be incorporated there. All right, so then our next steps on this, we're almost there. We have met with cabinet. We have incorporated their feedback into the materials, the text that you had seen in front of you. We're going to be looping out to College Assembly before the new group gets sat. Today, we're looping out to you, and we are next working with CEDL, again, that Center for Excellence Teaching and Learning, on developing a syllabus statement for faculty to be able to use and have available for their classes and their students as part of that communication piece. And then we're going to work on a statement for managers for operations manuals in their departments. And then lastly, one of the things that we learned is that it's really important to celebrate the work and to celebrate the people who help to bring all this forward. So at some point soon, very soon, we're going to be celebrating. So.
And then Tina, I'll just
All
add
right,
the one
and I-
thing that's not included here is that I am also working with a faculty member, Sarah Feinsilver, on a training that will be available to faculty and staff on how to best support student parents and how to understand this policy and understand what this policy looks like in their areas. We've been waiting to finalize that training until we have the policy finalized, but that will also be something that will be available to the college community.
Correct. And Sarah was invited today, so I don't know if she's on or not.
She's teaching.
But she's teaching. Okay. Very good. All right. So we're going to end there, Cole. And if people have questions, Annette is on. I saw her on earlier. And again, she was instrumental in this. She can maybe tell you more about your efforts, earlier efforts, if you're interested. But take any questions that people might have.
All right, right before we go into questions, I'd entertain a motion to extend the time.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Senator Crowder. Can I see a second? Senator Furkan. Senator Sindar.
For how long?
How long would the motion be, Senator Crowder? For the record?
5 minutes. It's 5 minutes, okay?
I'm second that. Okay.
Yep.
All right, now open up to discussion. Okay, hearing none and seeing none, we take a vote in unanimous consent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Motion passed. We'll stand at 10 for 5 minutes for questions and answers. Now would be the time if anybody had a question.
If there are no questions, that's awesome.
That works.
We've been working really hard on this thing.
Okay, let's get to advisor, Cole.
Yeah, so I've only been at the college for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So during the time frame that you've been working on this, what have you noticed on, let's say, the employee end of some children have had to be here? Have you run across issues or anything like that that would be corrected with this policy? Or how has that harmony been since this is in progress but not necessarily implemented?
Yeah, Jess, you can speak to this too. What I would say, Cole, is that there's been confusion. What's allowed, what's not allowed, and our aim with this policy was really to provide clarity, especially some of the feedback that came from the managers in particular and faculty on that survey was that they wanted to be supportive, but they didn't know if they would be held liable for the risk. Like it's managing risk. You're bringing children, you're introducing them into this environment. You know, what did that mean? And so as a college, we had to be able to say that, no, that is part of us being open to the public, that having children on campus is something that's going to occur. So providing clarity is really one of the biggest aims for this work. And now, as you saw, as the next step is we're going to be working with managers, with HR to develop those policies for those department manuals, operational manuals, to be able to have those conversations, to give them guidance so they can have those conversations with the employees, with the staff.
And I would add to that, just coming from, I was faculty before I was in the role of dean, knowing what it was like to be a faculty member and sort of not know, again, that lack of clarity. Is it okay if a student brings their child to class? If, you know, and then if one student brings their child to class next week, is everybody going to bring their child to class? And how do I navigate that? And when do I get to say no? And when do I say yes? And can I say, no, you can't bring your child to class, but you can join remotely on this day because you don't have childcare? So just really giving faculty some better guidelines that they can establish for their classroom, and empowering them to think about not only what they need to teach effectively in their own learning space, but also if they are part of a department, the importance of there being a consistent message. One of the things that we did hear from students was that sometimes they had an instructor one semester who was very flexible with maybe bringing your child to class or allowing you extra time to turn in an assignment. And they assumed that was the norm in that program. And then the next semester they had another instructor who had very different expectations. So I think this policy is going to create a better framework for consistency for students as well.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions?
I just
Comments
wanted
or
to add
concerns?
something. Can you hear me okay?
Senator Crowder? Yep. You have the floor.
I also feel like this policy helps to make it clearly more feasible for students to come to school when they're a parent. I mean, like today, I took the day off, but that's because my child was hacking. If she hadn't been hacking or just been out of, not in school today, it would have made all the difference. I would have just brought her to class with me, because most of my instructors are reasonably understanding.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Right. Well, I think with that, we can end question and Q&A. And as a student parent, I'd like to first give you a round of applause if that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I guess with that, we can transition to our next guest speaker.
They're online.
They're online. They can take the floor away, whether it be Ellie or Aeon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Hello, everyone. Paul and I are back. It feels like not that long ago that we were there in person, talking about accreditation. So I recognize that there could be maybe some newer senators who are incoming for next year in the room. We don't have a lot of time to kind of go back, but essentially we're here to talk about accreditation, which is a really important process that the college is constantly going through, but we're at a really important point right now, where we have some external reviewers coming to campus in a couple of weeks to essentially ensure that we are doing the things that we need to do, that we are providing high quality education, that we are in good shape and can receive federal money and all of that sort of good stuff. So that's kind of the short version of it, for those who might not have been with us back in February. But we are back just to remind you that this process is still happening. So we didn't really give our introductions. I just kind of assumed it was all the same group, but I'm Ellie Crane, Director of Student Life. Sorry.
Hi, everyone. Paul Baraboo. I am English faculty and currently the Accreditation Liaison Officer at the college.
So when we last came, we sort of talked about what accreditation is, encouraged you all to participate in the student opinion survey. So thank you to all of you who did that. And now we're in the very final stretch. And our request of you is to attend the sessions that are happening on campus on May 4th. There's a specific session for students that we're really hoping to get a lot of your participation, your peers, your friends. We want as many students to show up as possible. So we just really wanted to come back and remind you that that's happening, and sort of give you an idea of what that will look like. We've been running some mock sessions this week. So I'm going to have Paul kind of just share kind of what the format's going to look like. But essentially, they just want to hear from you.
That's the best way to think about it going in. They want to hear from students directly. So format-wise, the session will happen in D1630 BC. That's not the side that opens to the cafeteria. It's the other half of that room. And you can expect to see anywhere probably from 2 to 5 reviewers. I think the entire review team is probably planning on coming to the student session, and that would be 5 people that would be in the session. And typically what they do, they'll introduce themselves, and then they're just going to start asking questions. So I'm going to post in the chat as well some samples of what types of things they might ask. So things like program information, things about your experience as students with your instructors. Are instructors accessible? Do they give you clear course expectations? How's the feedback? They'll certainly potentially ask about services, advising, support services, tutoring, anything along those lines. Obviously, they might ask you about participation in student clubs or activities. And most likely you'll get a general question along the lines of like, what support has helped you the most, or what do you like most about Madison College? And of course, the other side of that, like what's a change that you really feel like would help improve your experience or the experience of students at the college? So typically it's sort of a back and forth. The review team will ask questions. They'll wait to hear as many responses as people are wanting to give, and then they'll move on to the next question. They might ask follow-ups just based on what you say. But again, really kind of an informal, I think, environment that you'll be dealing with the review team. They're not going to call on people, for example. It is entirely just they'll ask the question, they'll take responses from whoever is interested in answering and sharing with them. Ellie, any other specifics about the logistics that we should include here?
We've put it in the chat just for those of you who may not be looking at that. Monday, May 4th, 11:45 to 12:45. And you can show up as early as 11:30 if you want to get some food and get settled. One of the things in the mock sessions that was really helpful is some quick thinkers often kind of started off with an answer that gave other people a little bit of time to think. So if you are one of those people who you're really good at just speaking off the cuff and you have great things to say, you could kind of buy everyone else a little bit of time to think. So I guess just kind of feel out the room. Try not to, answer every single question, especially if there are a lot of students in the room. I think it's really important for them to be able to hear different experiences and as many voices as possible. So yeah, those are kind of the biggest things that come to my mind. And then inviting other people to come. We're going to be getting a lot more messaging out to students over the coming less than 2 weeks, right? That's scary. But we're going to be getting a lot more of that out. You'll start seeing things, physics images. We'll be blasting out some emails. The event is up in Wolfpack Connect. And hopefully most of you or all of you also have a calendar invite from me, because that was requested by the Student Activities Board, that I send that out when I talked about it almost a month ago, I think. So really just trying to get the word out and see from those of you who I hope will be there, if you had any questions that we could kind of answer in advance, so that you all feel as prepared as possible.
That's a good time to transition to questions and answers. If we have any precedent in the room, this would be the time where I'd entertain any questions on the dates, the times. Oh, we have one note. Liaison to the district board, Hassan. Asri, you are recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you for the recognition. Quick question, 2 questions. The student session, are we expecting any like managers there or faculty of the college also being there, or just like strictly for the students so they can like ask questions without worrying about someone being there?
That's a really good question, Hassan, and you are correct on the back end of what you said. The plan is to have no faculty or administrators or anything like that in the session. It's students entirely. The only exception to that is we are asking our review team whether they might allow someone from student life to be there, more along the lines of if logistical issues come up. But yeah, the intent is to have no one else from the college. It's specifically a session for students.
Okay, and then the other 4:30 to 5:30, that's the regular Madison College District Board meeting, I guess?
Correct. Yep.
Okay,
They will
thank
meet. Sorry, I should be specific. From
No,
4:30
thank
to
you.
5:30, the board is meeting with the review team. So that's not an open board meeting. The board will have its regular meeting at 5:30, right after their meeting with the review team.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Yep. And while I'm thinking of it, happy to answer more questions, but I also did just want to note there is on Tuesday a virtual session specifically for branch campus students. The review team does want to make sure they're talking with students from across the district, and they are going out to Fort Atkinson, Portage, and Watertown on Tuesday. But to make that ideally more accessible for students, they asked for a virtual session with, again, just branch campus students from 12:30 to 1:30 on Tuesday. So I know some of you might be I know we had someone last time from Reedsburg. So if you're at one of the branch campuses, that's another session to look out for and potentially attend.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, seeing none. I'd like to give this team a nice round of applause if I may.
All right, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at that session.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye. Now we can go into our third public comment, if you're ready. All right,
Would you prefer I stay here or come up front?
wherever you would like.
Maybe stand by the corner table or else do that.
Stand by the end table?
Yeah, like the end table, the camera will pan over and then you'll turn the shot.
Okay, great. I don't think I've ever let you go.
Nice to meet you.
Well, thank you, everyone, for having me come. I think I know most of you. John Flannery, Flan, from Public Safety. I lead Public Safety with my team. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. I believe the presentation is about public and private spaces. And if I'm correct, it's within the context of ICE. If I'm not correct, let me know. All right. I'm used to interaction. I know that we have the Robert Rules of Order, so I understand that you'll wait till the question part, but let's just start real quickly with this building here. Madison College, public or private building?
Public.
Okay. So does that mean that anything can happen here? Anybody can come in and do whatever they want?
Whatever they want within reason. If it's like threat to public safety, then no.
Okay, all right. What I want you to start thinking about a little bit is it is a public facility, but Madison College actually has the ability to control and manage this property. Okay, I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as I talk a little bit more with regards to public and private, because ultimately, for instance, if some of you wanted to do some kind of protest, you're allowed to do that protest here. However, Madison College reserves the right to tell you where you can do the protest. In other words, you can't just do it anywhere within the college building, okay? So there is an amount of control. The reason I bring that up is because oftentimes what our department's asked by students is, what if ICE just walked in here and started coming through the building and doing their duties like you're seeing on TV and everything else? Well, first of all, public safety is the face of the college that would interact with ICE. We've been designated as such by the administration. So if that were to happen and we saw ICE agents come in, could they come into a public building? Of course, but it would be a short period of time before we would then intercept them and question what it is they were doing here. They would have to have a legitimate purpose for being here. So what I want to put out right away, because we get this question all the time, is what would happen if like 20 to 30 ICE agents came into the cafeteria one day and started walking up to students asking questions? Well, it's a public place. They could come in, but public safety would then engage with them. And because we don't consider that necessarily a legitimate purpose for why they're here, we would ask them to leave. Okay. So we need to put that context a little bit, because even though they have authority to a certain extent, we also have the ability to control what happens here. Okay. So is this classroom a public or private space?
That depends.
It depends.
Currently public.
Okay. So explain, and I know I only have 15 minutes, so I don't want to drag it out, but explain to me a little bit what you mean by depends, public, and so.
If there's a more than one people, it's private.
Okay. I know they probably are not going to see me. I just opened the door. Does this change the status of it?
Yes.
In what way?
It makes it public.
Does it?
No, it's not. I don't.
Because we occupy this room and we are doing legitimate business, whether that door is open or closed, this is private. So if I'm an ICE agent and I come up to this doorway, and I know that not everybody could see me, but I'm standing in the threshold of the doorway and I see the class and I decide to walk in, what can we do? I'd ask you to please walk up. This is private because we have legitimate business here. Does that make sense? Do we feel more comfortable if the door's closed?
Yeah.
Maybe, but it doesn't make a difference legally. It is still private because we're here. Can they come in? Is there any conceivable scenario in which they could come in here? That's private.
They had a warrant.
Okay, explain that to me.
If they have a warrant for a specific person and they're identified to be in classroom, but they aren't able to disrupt the business that's going on, they would have to go ahead and have probably an administrator or someone to go ahead and excuse that student from the
Okay.
classroom.
But it should be judicial warrant, right?
Correct. So you're both, you're right to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But let's not confuse the language. So there is a judicial warrant. That's my left hand. My right hand is an administrative warrant. Judicial warrant is a warrant signed by a judge that basically says you can violate, meaning the law enforcement officer, violate private space for some reason, legitimate reason, right? So let's say in the case of ICE, I'm going to just throw this out here. Let's say that they've contacted the college, they go to a judge and they say, we don't think the college is being honest and open with us about where this person is. We got information the person might be in their class. We are going to get a judge to issue a warrant so we can go into that class. First of all, that scenario would not happen because that's pretty weak. All right. But the point I'm making is if a judge signed it, a judge in a court signed it, it doesn't matter. They can come in. Okay. With that kind of warrant. An administrative warrant, however, does anyone know what that is?
Is it the one that's like signed by their, like their acting officer that it doesn't need to be signed by a judge, but it's just giving them kind of like,
So, right.
you know,
So ICE follows a process within their internal structure that if they want to take someone into custody, the agent will go to a supervisor and say, we've identified that person. We would like to take that person into custody. The supervisor, as a matter of checks and balances, looks at what the information is. And they say, we're going to sign off on an administrative warrant, which just means that as your supervisor, I give you permission to go. Legally, it does not allow them to enter into a private space. So keep those things in mind as we talk a little bit, because we need now to establish private and public beyond this room. Is the hallway public or private?
Public.
And okay, but justify to me why.
Because people are allowed to walk around in that area?
Exactly. Do you have an expectation of privacy in a hallway there?
No.
Not at all. I'm not trying to trick you. But here's what I want you to do. In order for all of you to know your rights, you have to understand and think critically about this. Yeah, go ahead, please.
What about non-classroom private spaces like the bathroom?
Would that be public or private?
I'm hoping private, but
It is private. I can't imagine any judge would say it's perfectly fine for them to go in when you're in the bathroom, but I get where you're going, okay? But in a hallway, it's public. Now look at it this way. Can any member of the public come into this building?
Yeah.
Could any member of the public walk through this building? Right? Yeah. What if this room was not occupied and the door was closed?
well,
Is it public or private?
it's public. It's private because they're typically locked. I mean, if the door's closed.
Hey, that's good. Right, because I mean, our practice is, right, if a room's not being used, the door should be closed. We keep it locked, but that's to protect against other things, right? But let's just say it's ajar. Let's say that as a member of the public or a law enforcement officer walking through the building. Could Madison PD just walk through the building just as part of their patrol? Sure, they could. We would want to know why as public safety. But they come to an empty classroom see the door ajar, open the door, step in. Are they violating anything? Other than we would want to know why they're here. Because it's now public, right? However, because we locked the door, they couldn't like try the candle, call public safety and say, I'd like you to open this door so we can go look inside. That changes the dynamics a little bit. Because the intent is we're keeping this closed, which makes it private. Okay, does that make sense? It's a little bit hard, but think about, well, look at it this way. We have a bike trail that's out by the challenge course, by the Lot K parking lots, overflow. There's cameras on that trail. Would you say that's public or private? Do you have an expectation of privacy?
No.
No. No, it's a public trail. That's why we have cameras there. So in other words, someone could not argue that I'm using the trail. I shouldn't have cameras looking at me because there's no expectation of privacy. You can't adopt that and say that that's against my interest because that's a public space. Okay. What about, well, let me ask you, you give me some examples.
What about the CIE or like offices like that, are open, forward facing, like advisory and what have you? Those are considered public spaces, are they not?
Business offices?
Like CIE's open facing or the bookstore.
Yeah, bookstore. Any member of the public can go there?
Yeah.
Right. What about student affairs? Can any member of the public go in there?
No, it would be students only, and there's business taking place there.
So my son or daughter wants to come here. I want information. I can't go into student affairs. Look at it this way. Here's the front facing desk of student services, student affairs. Can I walk at least up to here and say, I'd like some information about the college? As a member of the public? Am I violating anything?
No.
You're an employee. I don't mean to point to you, but you're employees. Okay. Can I do this? Hold on. I'd like to come back there and I'd like to see what you're doing. Does that change everything?
Yes.
Because you have a legitimate purpose, business purpose for being here, right? That becomes private. You have a cubicle that you do your business in. Even if you're not there. As your private stuff. Is that public or private? It's private. Would we allow the public to go back there? No. So I'm going to offer this to you because I don't know how much time I have left. You tell me, what are your questions?
I think we had a question from Senator Sindar, then a question from Senator Larson, then a question from Vice President.
So it's just making me a little bit confused that I know that if like there's a business going on here, even the door is open, it's private. It's private.
It's private.
For example, this meeting is public meeting.
Mhm.
So door is open. We are not expecting any agent or something,
Right.
but it's still public. So
It's still public.
In this situation, I'm just.
But if you saw an agent at the door dressed in a uniform, what are some options you could do? Because it is a public meeting where anyone could come in, correct? I mean, you would welcome any student. But at that point, if we have a fully uniformed law enforcement agent or officer that would come in or come to the threshold, I would say, could you please wait? And then call public safety. Because that doesn't give them carte blanche to come through here, because you still have to know what their business is. If I'm a student, or for that matter, a member of the public, you don't even know if it's a student, like myself, okay? Older, male, don't look like a traditional student, and I want to come in and see what you're doing, you might go, oh, well, that's different. And maybe not question it as much. But I sit back there, you might think, ooh, that's a little different. But now I come in with full uniform, armed, right? Ballistic vest, says police. I think we'd all be like, what's that about? And at that point, you have every right to say, excuse me, officer, we ask you to step out there. We will have somebody come and talk to you. You have every right to do that. It's not a carte blanche. They can just come in. You have control of the room. Okay? I'm sorry. I just didn't know the order of the questions.
I did have a question, but you already answered it, so thank you.
Okay, sure. Anybody else?
Anybody online?
I had one quickly. There are a few ways that you outlined public and private spaces.
Mhm.
One was, if there is legitimate business taking place, or if
Sure.
there's an expectation of privacy. That was another one.
Correct.
A couple of things you pointed out was like maybe a closed room or the desk that can't be passed. Are those outlines of private spaces explicitly noted, like in some sort of legal code, or is like, I guess, where's this definition laid out?
Right, and that's a great question. So the law doesn't say that you have to explicitly post signage. Unless, the only time you would post signage is if there's a question about the space. But here's what the law basically says. If there is a legitimate business purpose, even if the person who's coming into that space doesn't know, you can then stop them and say, look, this is where we conduct business. We don't allow the public here. That's all that has to be said. So in other words, I think what I'm understanding your question to be, is there a way to basically partition off these areas so that people know before or as they approach? Is that what you're saying?
I was more looking like, where does the law reflect the way you're kind of more informally explaining it to us, which is helpful for understanding, but I'm just wondering, is that reflected somewhere? Does it say legitimate form of business taking place?
Oh,
You know?
well, we would look at like the Fourth Amendment with regards to the Constitution. Within our own Wisconsin Constitution, it's interspersed throughout. It's about having possession of your own space, your own public and private. You're not going to get like specific language that says, if I'm doing business here, this is what it is. More of what I'm telling you is based on legal precedent, case law that's occurred in the past. So what's the one thing, let me ask you this, what's one thing that protects all of you, no matter what, from law enforcement? Knowledge, attention, interference. So let's say, Quinn, that we met before,
Yeah.
You and I, right? Let's say that, let's just say Dane County Sheriff's Department calls here to the school. And they say, yeah, we're looking for Quinn. Quinn's done some pretty crazy stuff. Him and his car all over, you know. We need to go talk to him. And we know he is a student here at the college. The way it works is chances are that call would be routed to public safety, we hope, because that's the protocol. And now they're talking to me. And they say, so, Mr. Flannery, we would like to go talk to him. However, this is a huge building. And even though we know he's a student, we don't know what classes he has. So we would appreciate if you could guide us to where his next class is. Are we allowed to give that information?
I think that's a violation of student privacy.
And we call that,
I don't remember which one.
that's okay. That's why I'm telling you.
FERPA, yeah.
Okay, it's a federal law. So in other words, I can't tell them that. So the one thing that you're gonna find with ICE is the fact that if they wanted to find somebody in a campus setting, especially in a campus setting as large as this building or otherwise, they would need to know class schedule, right? And for them to get the class schedule, they would have to somehow get past FERPA. In order for that to happen, they would end up having to convince a judge that their purpose for getting that information far exceeds your right to privacy. And quite frankly, I haven't seen that yet, okay? Unless, Quinn, you've done some horrible thing, right? What they could try to do is what we call a subpoena. Is they could try to subpoena the registrar's office. And a subpoena is nothing more than a legal document for the college to produce evidence, in this case records, so that they could get your class schedule. Now, what I will tell you though, is there has to be a compelling need for it on part of law enforcement. So we've had calls from law enforcement who have said, first of all, phone calls, which I call into question all the time, because you don't know who's calling, right? Who say, hey, we're looking at Quinn. Sorry, Quinn. We're looking at Quinn for some really bad stuff. And quite frankly, we need to know where he is now. And the first question I have is, does it pose a concern, a safety concern to the college? In other words, is he carrying a weapon and you have reason to believe he's going to do something here? Because that far outweighs any protection, right? Because then we need to get involved. And it's usually not. It's usually we need to talk to him about a crime. We need to talk to him about driving behavior that occurred, whatever. And my response always is, sorry, we can't give that information out. It's protected by FERPA. So for ICE to come here and want to get in touch with somebody, i.e. a student, they have to somehow overcome FERPA. Now, here's what I will tell you. Since this whole thing began with ICE, and what has it been, over a year now? I've communicated, because I have a network of my counterparts across the US that do kind of the same role that I have here at the college. Public safety, security, law enforcement. We have not seen just a mass response of ICE agents onto a college campus and start questioning people about their status. What they've done is they've targeted individuals. And it usually isn't within the campus, unless they can identify the person, like say walking out on campus on the sidewalk. It's not usually inside the campus grabbing somebody. If they were to come like in the cafeteria and start talking to students, that is completely random. And then our question would be, what do you base that question on, or that questioning on, right? So is it the way they look, the students? Is it the way the students talk? Because that's profiling, and that's completely illegal. So what I want to just get across to you is, it's not only important the public and private, but you need to know your rights. And your rights are, you're not obligated to talk to any law enforcement agent at all. So let's say an ICE agent comes up to you, or for that matter, anybody. Can you show me some ID, please?
I don't have to talk to you.
Exactly. And I would even say this, can I walk away? Are you detaining me? And if they say, no, I'm not detaining you, then walk away. Because the more you interact with law enforcement, it's perceived to be consensual. See what I mean? So in other words, if you don't say, oh, I got nothing to say. Am I being detained? No. All right, see ya. But if you try to be nice and go, well, no, I don't want to tell you who I am, but I mean, I don't really want to walk away either because I don't want to offend you. Now that has become consensual.
I have a question.
Yes.
So right now we are doing great collaboration with Public Safety International Students Committee to show students right on the flyer, but also judicial warrant and the other warrant difference. But about this public and private space, it's kind of tricky to do that in, I think, in flyer format. So I'm just curious that how can we possibly educate ourselves and our students, and what's your suggestion of how can Senate can position to support that idea?
Well, when we had lunch the other day, my suggestion was we should do listening sessions with students, right? We should have this kind of conversation with students. We've done it down at Goodman South, but we should do that. We should make more of an outreach effort, meaning public safety, to talk to students about what their rights are and to try to remember, identify, and understand the difference between public and private, right? I think that's important. Because the more information that we get out, and I would encourage Student Senate to help facilitate that. So it's not just public safety that's doing it. You all have your network and connections with students. Help me out. All right, I'll bring the pizza. But I mean, let's do it. Because the more that we can get this information out to students, the better off we all are. One of the things I love about Madison College is that we're a community. And for a community to work together, we have to look out for each other. So you may look at public safety and say, oh, all they do is issue parking tickets. Or you may look at, right, faculty and say, oh, all they do is grade our papers. Or you may look at any staff here and think, well, what do they have to do with students? Folks, we're all here to support them in every way possible. What I'm asking in your leadership role is that you now support your fellow students and let us help you with that, because that's what's important. Yes.
I was wondering of when you're addressing public safety, how much of training have they gotten, and how long have they been with public safety so that we can actually feel like they know what they're doing?
Oh, sure. That's a very good question.
I was gonna add,
Yeah.
add some, can you add an extension to that of what the rest of the college staff have been trained on as well?
Right.
Not just public safety.
So it's a great question. So let's start with what the rest of the college, and then I'll get to my team. Okay. So from the very beginning, college administration, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Byrne, Dr. Daniels, our former president, has pushed basically that we get this information out as much as possible to our employees. So what I'm talking to you about right now, we have done several types of presentations and trainings for our employees to understand as well. So that faculty, from the custodian, the public safety officer, faculty member to the administrator, we're all on the same page about what we as employees of this institution will do and can do to basically protect our students and protect our organization. I think I counted last fall, I must have done maybe, and just me, I'm not even talking about my second in command, so to speak, Luke Adler. I must have done at least 45 trainings where we went to branch campuses and talked to folks. We did all the departments throughout here. We went to Goodman South. But we try to get this information out as much as possible. And here's one thing I will tell you. From a protocol standpoint, if you have any questions, and I haven't forgotten your second half of your question, if you have any questions, we get students at our office all the time. And I'm proud of that because our team has developed relationships with students of trust. And we get students that'll say, hey, can I talk to you about something confidential? Has to deal with my family with regards to immigration. We do not report anything. We are not law enforcement, first of all. We are security. But we have that relationship with students where we've had them come to us and say, or I'll even give you a better example. Oftentimes students will see things happen in the neighborhood or hear about it. And they'll come to us and say, could you find out if in fact that's an ICE operation or is that just law enforcement? Now, second half of your question, my team, the culture we have in public safety is we are not enforcers. And cliche as it may sound, we are guardians. That's something that I've drilled into everybody's basically training in service. We are guardians. We are your guardians. We're here to protect you. We're here to protect this property. We're here to protect the employees. Okay. So we get training in legal updates, de-escalation, crisis intervention, mental health intervention, stop the bleed, CPR, active shooter, threat evaluation, reporting, observation. Should I keep going? We have a lot. Since this came out last year, when we've done the training, we have done scenario role playing with our officers for if ICE were to come. How would we deal with it? What do we say for so forth and so on? To give you an idea, and I don't want to toot our horn, but I will. Law enforcement gets 24 hours of in-service every year. My staff, 60 to 70 hours every year. And it deals with all those topics. I'm probably way past 15 minutes, aren't I? Sorry. Sorry. I tend to speak a lot.
I know if those want to be your closing remarks, we can definitely open the floor to, if anyone wants to have any follow-up questions, if you're going to be here around the end of the meeting.
Sure. Yeah, I could be here for it. Absolutely.
Senator Larson, you're recognized.
I don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment. Thank you so much again for just
Yeah.
attending and speaking.
Thank you.
It means a lot to us.
Oh,
To
well, that's great.
also be educated on this, because the more people that know about this, then the more that we can be aware, and like you said, protect our friends and neighbors, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I also want to throw this out there. Many of our officers are bilingual. And so some of you may know some of our officers. So if you have friends that or peers that are a little bit concerned about what's going on, please encourage them, come with them and bring them to public safety. Do you know